Everyone experiences failure in their lives. There's no one on earth who has lived their whole life without experiencing it. Yet most people view failure as something to be avoided at all costs. Why? Well, since we're young, we are graded on our achievements, whether that's getting good grades, getting into a good university, or having a high-paying job. As humans, we tend to place a lot of emphasis on our accomplishments. But what if there is another way to look at it? What if, instead of seeing failure as something negative, we see it as something positive? When viewed through this new lens, we can see that everything we have ever failed at has given us a valuable experience which we can use to make better decisions in the future. Every time we fail, we learn something about ourselves, about other people, and about the world around us. The trouble comes when we forget that we have gained anything from the situation and only focus on the negative aspects of it. Instead of being grateful for the lesson we learned and the stronger person we became because of it, we punish ourselves by beating ourselves up over our past mistakes. We dwell on what we could have done differently, blaming ourselves for not working hard enough, for being good enough, or trying enough. However, this is the wrong way of thinking. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. By refusing to accept failure as a natural part of the journey towards success, we only cause ourselves pain and misery. So, with that said, here are 8 reframes you can use to turn any failure into a success. Number 1. I am not a failure. First off, we need to stop labeling ourselves based on our accomplishments. You are not a failure because you didn't get into your dream school, you are not a loser because you got rejected by your crush, and you are not a failure because you don't have the body of an underwear model. So, what are you? Well, you are human. And one thing I've noticed about humans is that they are incredibly complex beings with unique mindsets, values, and beliefs that cannot be summed up with a single label. In fact, just think about yourself. How many different labels could be used to describe you? Student, child, friend, son, vegetarian, basketball player, bookworm, the list goes on. And none of these labels define who you truly are. Using these labels to define ourselves leads to us creating a false sense of identity which we then protect with our lives. So the next time someone calls you a failure, remember that you are human, and humans are complex beings who cannot be labeled so easily. Number 2. This is not the end of the world. When bad things happen, our brains react in a certain way. We enter what is called loss aversion mode, where we only focus on the negatives and ignore the positives. This is also known as negativity bias, and it happens because our brain is wired to survive. So when faced with a threatening situation, it will do everything it can to make sure we don't make things worse. However, although this reaction might have been helpful when we were back in the days of the dinosaurs, it doesn't really serve us anymore. In today's world, things almost never go catastrophically wrong, and most of the bad situations we face can be overcome with some effort. So instead of focusing on the negative, why not try to focus on the positive? When faced with a failure, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I did nothing? And compare that to what's actually happened. Chances are you'll realize that you're in a much better position than you thought. No 3. I chose this. When we think of ourselves as victims of circumstances, we lose our sense of control and power in life. For example, when someone doesn't get into their dream school, they might blame their parents for not being able to afford tutors or for not pushing them enough to study. Or they might blame the school for not giving them enough support during the application process. However, regardless of what actually happened, the key is to recognize that you always have a choice. You could have chosen to not apply to that school, you could have chosen to study harder, or you could have chosen to apply to a different school. Even if you feel like the odds are stacked against you, you still have options. It might not seem like it, but if you dig deep inside, you'll find that you always have a choice. So whenever you feel like life is unfair, remember that you always have a choice, even if it's just the choice to change the way you think about it. No 4. I can do something better. Often when we fail at something, we try to fix it by doing more of the same thing. For example, if you're failing your math class, you might try to fix it by studying harder and spending more time on math. However, sometimes the best thing we can do is to take a step back and do something completely different. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So next time you fail at something, ask yourself, is doing more of the same thing really going to help me improve my situation? Or should I do something completely different? Remember, sometimes doing something new can lead to a completely different outcome. Number 5, I am grateful for this experience. One of the best ways to deal with failure is to simply reframe it as an opportunity for growth. When we approach failure with this mindset, we can see that every failure has given us valuable experience which we can use to make better decisions in the future. For example, let's say you applied to 10 jobs and didn't get any callbacks. At first, this might seem like a failure, but when you think about it, you've now got real-world experience applying to jobs, interviewing with companies, and networking with other professionals. These are skills that will only make you better in the future. So the next time you fail at something, try to reframe it as an opportunity for growth. Ask yourself what lessons you can take away from the situation and how you can use them to improve your decision-making in the future. 6. I can do this. When we doubt our abilities, we set ourselves up for failure. If we believe we're not capable of achieving our goals, we won't put in the effort required to reach them. For example, if you want to start a business but have self-doubts, you might not put in the long hours required to make it successful. Our self-beliefs shape our reality. So, if we want to achieve our goals, we need to believe in ourselves first. This is called the self-fulfilling prophecy. It means that our beliefs about ourselves and our abilities determine our success. So, if we want to succeed, we need to believe in ourselves. Next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, do I believe in myself? If the answer is no, then it's time to work on building your self-belief. Number 7. This will make me stronger. Failure is a natural part of the human experience. When we fail, we learn and we grow. So instead of fearing failure, we should embrace it. The next time you fail, remind yourself that this is an opportunity to become stronger. Ask yourself what lessons you can take away from the situation and how you can use them to improve your decision-making in the future. By embracing failure, you will not only become stronger, but you will also be better equipped to handle whatever life throws your way. Number 8, I am not alone. We've all heard the saying that everyone makes mistakes, but it's not true. Only you make mistakes. Everyone has their own unique perspective and experiences, so everyone makes their own unique mistakes. However, despite this, we are all human and we all experience similar emotions. We all feel joy, sadness, anger, fear, and love. We all have hopes and dreams, and we all have goals we want to achieve, and we all face challenges along the way. So whenever you're feeling down about your failures, remember that you're not alone. There are billions of people out there who are experiencing similar things to you. Reach out to them and connect. Share your experiences and listen to theirs. You might be surprised by how much strength and comfort you can find in each other. Failure is part of the human experience. We all fail at things and sometimes we feel like giving up, but we can't. We have to keep trying because that's what life is about. It's about learning from our mistakes and becoming better people. So the next time you fail, don't beat yourself up about it. Instead, dust yourself off and try again. Remember that you're not alone, and that this is just a small setback on your journey to success.